Hi everyone, my name is Davina San and I'm a student here at Palm Beach Atlantic University in West Palm Beach, Florida. With me is Dr. Lane Cohey, and we are so excited to share with you guys the new book that he wrote, which is The Disquieted Soul, and here's our Q&A. In chapter 11, we deal with recovering a heart of trust. So you use another term for us, which is the tension of trust. What does that mean?
Right. So anyone who's ever been in a relationship knows that trust is essential. If you don't have trust in the relationship, then the relationship is doomed. So that's one side. But anyone who's been in a relationship knows that trust is hard. We've all been hurt. We've all been wounded. We've hurt others. It's hard to trust others. It's hard to trust ourselves. And so every honest examination of disquiet that wants to control its own circumstances and its own life, a lot of people jump right into trust, but they forget about identity, they forget about the God of the circumstances, but sooner or later you have to get here, and you have to get to trust. Do we trust God, and how?
So you suggest that there are 3 truths that we need to meditate on to help recover our trust.
Right.
What are they and why are they so important?
The first truth is that God is honest about our trials. If you ever want to know somebody who's selling you a line of goods, who's telling you that life is going to be easy and you're not going to have any problems, that's not what Jesus said. Jesus said, in this world you will have troubles. But he also said, be of good cheer because I have overcome the world. And so, first, God is honest about trials. Second, there's purpose in our pain and purpose for our pain. We, a lot of times, get no pain, no gain when we know we're chasing something that we're motivated by, a sports trophy or a good contract or something. We don't always have that in the Christian existence, and so we have to always go back and remember what it is that God is calling us to, and the fact that he uses pain a lot of times to refine us, to allow us to be more compassionate, to allow us to be more caring, to allow us to be able to empathize with others, to journey through those circumstances. And it's hard to do that sometimes when we're staring at in the front. It's easier to do it when we're looking in the rearview mirror. The third is, and probably most important, is that God is wearing our wounds. Jesus doesn't just lead from the front. Obviously, he was a man of sorrows, and he knows every pain that we've experienced personally, but it's not just that he went through it himself. It's also that he's going through it at our side, alongside with us as we journey through the pain. Step by step, tear by tear, he's with us. And so wearing our wounds is something that we have to continually remember.
I think it's hard for us to go through pain and find it purposeful. So what do you suggest helps with that?
Right, it is. And so kind of to keep the big picture in the midst of trials and suffering, when we're tempted to avoid them or to try to get around them, we have to come back to the discipline of reframing and remembering. I use this illustration, I think, about when I was a cadet at the Air Force Academy, and we were going through 4 years of not a lot of fun. But in the end, when all the hats were getting thrown up in the air and on graduation day and everything was much more celebratory, we wouldn't have wanted it any easier. And that's the way it is in life, and the way in which God trains us through difficult circumstances. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but there's a purpose for it. And that's what we need to remember when those experiences are in front of us rather than behind us. There is going to be a day in which we throw our hats in the air, and we kind of have to keep that focus as we journey through the pain.
Definitely. That's so good. So the last thing that you offer us is something called the paradox of pain. What is that paradox?
Well, the paradox is obviously our natural instinct is to run as far away from pain as we possibly can, and to avoid it. And if we see it coming, and I'm not saying we want to be martyrs or masochists, but we need to also realize that as followers of Christ, when we're willing to enter into pain, we really can find a peace that passes understanding. This truth is really counterintuitive. The communion is somewhat inexpressible that this can be true, but time after time, person after person will tell you that it is true. And when we really wrap our hearts around that and our minds around that, and we dwell on that truth, we can realize that we genuinely do have a reason to trust.